Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have an artist named Drew McManus from the band Satsung. And I had a chance to talk to Drew about his new album, Flowers from the Fray, his road to where he's at right now, as well as kind of steps he's taken to better himself, to really be present for his family, and to put his all into his music. We had a really great conversation, and so we'll get to that in just a few minutes. I'm going to keep this intro probably a little bit short because I'm on the tail end of battling a cold right now, and that my son gave me. So thanks to my boy for that. But I'll be okay. And Drew McManus is going to be playing at the Chapel in San Francisco on Wednesday the 12th, so right around the corner. I will be down south in LA at Hotel Cafe, seeing Andrew McMahon down in LA at that same time that Drew McManus is going to be in San Francisco with Satsung. So if that's not confusing enough, don't worry about it. So, all right, what do I got going on? Again, I got a bit of a cold. I've been watching Dahmer, and it's dark and very well made, but heavy. I didn't know a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer before this series. Apparently, it's one of Netflix's most successful series in a long time, since Stranger Things season 4, maybe, and so it's doing really well. But this guy has demons beyond anything I can comprehend. But it's crazy to just kind of see it portrayed in that sense. What a dark show. I've been watching that and trying to balance it with lighter things and comedy, to offset it. But I'm also reading the book of next week's guest, David Liebert, who's going to be on the program. And he has a book out that we'll talk about it more next week, of course, with David. But there's a lot of really interesting stories about how he managed, he was Alice Cooper's tour manager back in the mid '70s and so forth. So he's got a lot of great stories. I'm finishing up his book before interviewing him next week. So that's kind of what I got going on. You get a quick trip down to LA, which is kind of cool. Get to step away for a little bit, and then getting back into it up here in the Bay Area. And we're less than 2 weeks away from duck hunting season, which I am super stoked about. Of course, it's one of my favorite hobbies that I have. So really looking forward to getting out there and bringing home some ducks and having some new experiences. That'll be a lot of fun. So that I won't drag it out any longer. Let's go ahead and let's bring in Drew McManus from Satsung on the program. There we go. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing good, man. Just did a huge haul from Austin out to Phoenix in the bus. So yeah, just kind of regrouping after a crazy third week of tour and getting ready to start another one on Wednesday.
I like it. How's the tour going so far?
It's been really good. Kind of a weird environment, just because everybody's on tour right now, and like last fall no one was really touring except us, so all of the shows were just bangers, and we're kind of starting to see the you get somewhere and then you find out that there's 6 other shows happening that night. So but no, it's going really good. We're playing really well, having fun.
Yeah. Tell me about that tour last year when no one else was on the road. What was the feeling like? What was the vibe in the places that you played?
People were just stoked that the music was coming. Like, there was nobody else on tour. It felt like we didn't see any, there's no posters for other shows, or it felt like that first kind of window for people to be able to go see live music. So we were happy to oblige. But yeah, some of my favorite shows we've ever played, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so your tour is going to get you out here to the West Coast. I'm in the Bay Area. You're going to be hitting the Chapel in San Francisco, which is I don't know if you've been there, but it's a pretty cool venue.
I've never been. I have a special place in my heart for churches that get turned into music venues. We played one in Cincinnati. as well. There's something about that that just feels so cool to me, to repurpose, a holy place for a holy thing, playing music.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it is this cool, I mean, you hit it, right? It was a church and now it's a music venue, but I've seen some pretty cool shows there. And the layout of the venue is just really interesting about how they repurposed it. And, there's like an entrance right by the side of the stage that goes up to this little balcony area and the backstage area. It's pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited. And so that show's actually on my birthday too, which is cool.
Really? Okay, October 12th. Well, happy birthday.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. I wanted to come to the show, and it was funny. I was reaching out about, hey, can you make the show? And I was like, I would, but I'm actually going to be in LA seeing Andrew McMahon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but but kind of almost your namesake a little bit. But it was a funny coincidence that
Total.
two ships in the night. So let's start kind of from the beginning a little bit. Tell me about your childhood and what was on in the house when you were a kid. What were you listening to?
Well, my mom pretty much exclusively listened to country music, old country, like everything kind of like George Strait and Pryor, and it was just kind of what I was. What was always on, because that was always my mom's thing, was country. So which I guess I liked growing up, but I feel like by the time I was in like middle school, I absolutely hated country because it didn't feel like it was mine. It was kind of forced upon me. And as I've gotten older, I come back to it so much, just the songwriting. And how great so much of that music is. But a lot of country. And then I always tell this story that I got a library card when I think I was probably 6th grade. But I went to the library and I checked out What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, Shake Your Moneymaker by the Black Crowes, and American Beauty by the Grateful Dead. I can't tell you why I picked those 4. There was just something about them that kind of stuck out to me, and that was kind of where everything changed. I was never the same after that day of getting those records.
Yeah, but as a kid, I mean, so you talk to me about your mom's influence with country and everything. You would like dance around like pretending to be Garth Brooks because you kind of liked that energy, right? Like,
how'd you know that?
Oh, I do my research.
I did very much. He did that big, that big concert that was on NBC or something like that. My mom recorded it on a VHS, and I had every single one of his moves down. And there are many, many pictures of me pretending to be Garth Brooks as a young man. Yes.
Yeah. I had my country moment too. It was like 7th grade. I'll admit it. And then
and I love him so much now. It's just funny, had to kind of find my own way. But man, I come back to that stuff still. We listen to Garth. It's kind of Parker and I's ritual, because we always go home together because everyone else flies out and we have to go back to Montana together. We usually will listen to Garth's whole catalog on the drive home. It's kind of like little guilty pleasure ride together.
Yeah, the classics are classics, right? So
that's right.
And so you got your first guitar around 13. And tell me kind of what that experience for you, kind of picking that up and kind of learning to play the guitar.
I knew right away that it was what I wanted to do. It was really hard. And I had a Chet Atkins how to play guitar book, which I didn't have the patience to actually read, but in the back it had chord charts. So it just showed how to play all of the chords. And so I very much, got good at playing a G chord, and then would go from G to D, and then G to D to E minor. And I was hooked. I don't ever remember a time where I was, man, this is too hard. I was just all I thought about. It was all I wanted to do was play the guitar. And I never had any desire to be like a shredder either. I just knew I wanted to be a songwriter. Was definitely not the kid, looking at like Dragon Force tabs and like, trying to rip solos and shit. I just wanted to be able to play songs.
Yeah. And so would you carve out time like every day? Was it something you were, almost religious about?
Yes, as soon as I got home from school, backpack thrown, and I was with the guitar until it's time to eat.
Yeah. Did you have high school bands also, like that you were a part of?
No, I had some folks that I played with off and on, but I started when I was probably like a sophomore. I started hitting the open mic at the coffee shop at Java Joe's in Des Moines, and yeah, it actually became quite the deal. And I was banned from playing there because it was, bring 300 high school kids down there, smoking weed outside and drinking beer in the parking lot. We had made it quite the event. It became quite a thing.
Yeah.
And then took a kind of an accidental many year hiatus from playing shows. Like when I lived in Chicago, I never played shows, but always writing.
Yeah. So what were those songs like when you started writing? Was it about young love? Like, and tell me about that process of kind of finding your voice through your songs.
Yeah, definitely love songs, definitely young love songs, but then also like yeah, I wouldn't say like political, but songs about not buying the thing that they were trying to sell me for sure, which was that I needed to have a backup plan, and that if you didn't go to college, you're an idiot. And, that was something that was pushed really heavy on me at the school that I went to, that I wasn't going to do shit unless I did it this like certain way. And, you insert psychedelic drugs and the Grateful Dead to a kid like that, and off he goes. Yeah, I was pretty hip to a different way of existing. I remember seeing a picture of the Hells Angels around that time, and that really being inspiring to me. It was just like, wow, there's this whole other way to live. So I wrote about that a lot, of this kind of like dream life of traveling about the country and kissing girls and singing songs.
Yeah. No, you're sober, right?
Yeah.
But yes, okay. But you found your way to kind of the balance that you need to, for you and your family and everything. Like, tell me about that road for you.
Well, it just had gotten out of hand, and I was really, I think what it comes down to is that, I was raised by an alcoholic, and, when I was a kid, I grew up with a lot of trauma and abuse, and I didn't really have any help processing that. So I think when I started drinking when I was young, it just became this like escapism to not feel all the things that one feels when you grow up that way, just kind of running from loneliness and healing really. But I don't feel like I have a deep void in me anymore.
Yeah. And I'm sure meeting your wife has really helped, find that balance, right?
Yeah, very magical person. She's helped me a lot. Yeah. Kids, and then just I take what I do really seriously. So yeah, I have a lot going on that keeps my feet on the ground for sure.
Yeah. And so, I mean, talking about your kids, you have four, is it 3 or 4 kids?
I have 3 stepkids that I've raised since they were very little, and then I have one biological son named Malachi that's 4.5, and the 2 oldest boys are out of the house, and then our daughter Chloe is 16, and she is taken off for Spain in January, which is so crazy.
Yeah, is it a semester abroad, or
yeah,
is it just
Yeah, she's going to do 6 months abroad, so I'm super excited for her. That's all she's talked about for years, was that she wanted to travel, and I'm super excited for it. It's kind of heartbreaking to think of my little girl going off into the world without me, but
yeah, she's finding her path. It's a good thing. And I've watched a lot of your videos on YouTube, and I just see how connected you are with your kids. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. And you've, and through the documentary that you've done as well, like them sharing, the lessons that they've
they've taken away from you. Like Chloe said, we're all equal, and you have to work for what you want, and you won't have everything handed to you. Cole said kind of the same thing. Hard work pays off. So you really instill this work ethic, which is huge. So many parents don't do that, and and I try and give my kids a fraction of that, and they haven't gotten it yet. So what's your secret?
Yeah, I think that's just the cowboy in me. I've never thought of life of any other way. I don't, for all of the faults that I was raised with, that was something that was real present at all times. Was hard work beats everything, beats talent, beats luck. And I think the thing that's special with my kids too is they saw me go all in on music, and they watched it happen from the beginning, from playing at 3-hour brewery gigs for no one that's even paying attention to you to Red Rocks, so they've been here for the whole ride and seen it in action. I think the other thing with kids is like, we get told when we're kids to follow our dreams by people that aren't doing shit. They're not following their dreams. They don't like their job. They don't like any. That was my experience anyway, was I had a lot of adults telling me you can be whatever you want to be. I'm like, well, how come you didn't be what you wanted to be? So my kids have just always been raised around that ethos of me following my dreams,
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. And you mentioned Red Rocks. I mean, I know you did a handful of shows there with Franti, and tell me about that experience. It's this place that I've talked to so many bands, and they always describe it like as magical and everything. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta get out to this Red Rocks and experience it myself. So a couple of years back, I went and I saw Weird Al in the Colorado Symphony, and it was a magical, incredible experience just to be in that venue. But tell me what it's like to play there, and what was your experience like?
No, Red Rocks is magical. And what was funny was I kind of like underplayed it in my head when we were going to do it. Because we were playing so many cool shows that week. Like we were doing this beautiful outdoor one in Vail, and then this big like homecoming festival thing. So I kind of like downplayed it in my head of just like, yeah, man, it's just another day. But then you get there and you see the pictures of Pink Floyd on the wall and the Grateful Dead and the fucking Beatles, and you're just like,
Beatles.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's so surreal standing on that stage. Yeah, it's just like holy shit. My feet are in the same place that John Lennon's feet were.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's heavy. And what's really cool about Red Rocks is that you're looking up. Usually on a stage you're looking down at a crowd, and at Red Rocks you're looking up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so talk to me about Franti and kind of that relationship, how that came about, and what kind of working with him has meant to you.
He's a special fella to me. Yeah, the kind of condensed version of the story was that we had played a venue in St. Petersburg, Florida, and the promoter for that show said that Franti needed support, so they put us on that one, and then my team reached out to see if we could do his other Florida shows with him, these 2 other shows. But this venue in St. Pete, the green room is like up on this balcony by the stage, so it's like really safe for an artist because no one has access to you, but you can watch the show, very privately. You can watch the show. So I spent all but $37 to get us down there, and the idea was that Franti would watch our set from the balcony, and then he'd ask us to come on the road with him full time. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah, you put all in on black, or whatever the saying is, right? Yep. And you went for it, and he took you out. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, so we traveled together for a year.
Yeah. How far did that tour go? Where did you go with Franti?
Everywhere but the West Coast. We did Northeast, Southeast, Texas, all over the Midwest. Yeah, everywhere except the West Coast. Yeah. It was like, and then that same summer, Trevor Hall asked us to go on tour with him. So I had a year where I was literally on tour for 7 months. If I wasn't with Franti, I was with Trevor. If I wasn't with Trevor, I was with Franti. So it was a crazy year.
So what did you learn from those dudes in terms of how you present yourself in a live setting, let's say?
Franti is probably he's like up there with that Garth Brooks level entertainer. You know, when you go to a Franti show, I mean, he keeps himself in super stellar shape so he can run around with his damn ass headset, and he gets in the crowd, and he just, I mean, there's nobody that puts as much into their show as him that I've ever seen. I mean, he will run up a flight of stairs during the show and get on the balcony and like rock out with people with his headset on. It's absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
So definitely learned a lot about showmanship from Franti. You know, from Trev, I just learned the magic of, you know, he's gone through a lot of pretty shitty professional ordeals in his career. You know, just being young and working with major labels and just weird shit, you know, people fucking him over. And something he said to me one time that stayed with me is he said, you know, no matter what happens in your interpersonal life or professional life, the thing in you that writes the songs, no one can have that. It's yours. It's just yours. You know, I come back to that a lot. I'm going through a huge transition right now too, but I know that there's this thing in me that will create our way out of it or through it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. And I've seen Franti live a good handful of times, and I mean, you said it right. He'll bring people on stage. He'll, you know, run down. I mean, he plays Bottle Rock here in Napa like almost every year, pretty much, and it's always an incredible, you know, for performance and just the energy. He's one of those ones. He's not limited to the stage, right? He doesn't like stage. Okay, that's cool. I'll start there. You know, maybe.
Yeah, I think being his tour manager. The amount of shit that he does, I mean, his workouts, the free yoga every day, like being on tour with him, it is mind bending the amount of stuff that he does in his little 24-hour window of human existence each day.
Yeah.
Nobody like him. He's a deep cap.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and he's always been there for me, you know, which is cool. He wasn't just a dude that took me on the road. He was a very important mentor for me. Yeah,
you still keep up with him?
Yeah, we text every once in a while. Usually I'll just text some dumb shit when I'm thinking about him, but
yeah. It's cool to have a friend like that, right? So Yeah. Speaking of friends, I mean, you mentioned Parker earlier. You've been friends for over a decade with Parker, but what I sense is you never really recorded with him until recently. Tell me about that.
No, not only did I never record with Parker, we never even played music together. We would set up over the 12 years that we've been friends, we would set up time to play music. We'd get there, have the guitars in our lap, and then just start talking, you know, and just go on these deep dive conversations and never get around to playing. So yeah, I mean, the record it's funny because I mean, he obviously plays in the band, but yeah, that record was really the first time him and I have ever intentionally sat down and made something. And it was really smooth. It was a cool process for sure.
And you with this album, you can still see me, right? So with this album that I mean, I guess we could talk about the most recent album first, but so you went to a cabin, a friend's cabin that was like 10 minutes from home. Did you stay in that cabin? Were you all in there, or did you go home and be with the family at night?
No,
Nope.
We moved in there and got all the support. My friend Phil even acted as like a runner for us, so we didn't ever have to stop working. Like if we needed something from the store, he would go get it. But no, yeah, we got in there, a bunch of mushrooms and a bunch of guitars, and just got after it. And like I said, having Phil there, he just made sure that we never had to leave. So yeah, with me, Parker, our photographer Grayson, and Phil, and we were just in there for a week. We would sauna. There's a sauna, but yeah, the only time we left the cabin is if we were going to like roll around in the snow in between saunas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. So Flowers from the Fray. I really like I like the intro. It's something you don't get in in most of your albums. Your intro is just this like raw kind of feeling, the voicemails that you receive from family and friends, and kind of that connection. So how did that, let's start with that intro. How did that come about? Tell me the decision to put that into the album.
Well, it started with you know, I just had a hell of a winter, and I didn't, yeah, I was just kind of going through depression and this deep thing. And a lot of people were trying to get in touch with me, and I didn't really want to be in touch. And I had made a joke with my buddy Brady. He was always saying, man, you got to put me on a record, you know. He's just one of the, he owns Go Fast, Don't Die. He's one of the wildest human beings in my life. But he had sent that message, which is so funny. I was like, there's the album intro. I knew right away as soon as I heard that voicemail that that's what I wanted to do with it. And then I realized how many voicemails I had from the month of January that I hadn't listened to, and they were all pretty much the same thing. Hey man, thinking about you, just want to connect. And yeah, so it felt kind of fitting to start the album with that, because that was definitely my vibe last winter. Was not wanting to be in touch.
Yeah. And I get the sense that you write a lot, because so what I think I heard, you have like 3 albums written, you know, and this one just kind of came first. So tell me your process with like choosing, you know, A, choosing this album, and B, kind of, you know, picturing, what do you picture for the other albums going forward? What does that look like?
Well, I'm going to make a new one this winter, or actually right when I get home from this tour here in a couple weeks. I'm going to start it. I think it'll be similar to this last record. I'm trying to write, you know, I write every day. I have this whole theme album written that I want to do with the full band, but I want us to move into a studio together and live track everything. But I have one more in me that I want to do by myself, to kind of do it just like I did this last one. Really beautiful songs. I'm going through a pretty wild transition right now, just interpersonally. Yeah, my whole life is kind of changing right now in a very weird way, with my partnership. And so I've been writing a lot, and I have these songs that are really pretty. And there's a female vocalist that I know that I want her to sing on pretty much all of the songs. I think I'm really drawn to that male female vocal structure right now. So that feels like the move, is to go make this record and have this woman sing on all the songs.
Yeah. And so when you're writing it kind of with those 2 voices, like, I mean, is there an intentionality to it, or do you break it apart a little bit later in terms of who sings what piece, you know, what does that look like?
Well, I kind of hear it in my head, you know, when I write something, the more I play the song, the more I toy around with it, I start, it kind of starts to form itself, and then I have a pretty good idea. And then, you know, this person, I have a lot of trust just in her taste and ability, you know, to give freedom, just like I did with Parker on this last record. You know, there was nothing that he wanted to do that was a bad idea. So I just gave him that freedom to do whatever he wanted. He's so damn good. But this one, I think the only thing that'll be different with this record is that I don't hear a bunch of instruments. Like, I kind of just hear like a guitar, very auxiliary percussion. I really want the voices to kind of be the meat of the record, and not get real caught up in instrumentation.
It seems like you kind of came that way with Flowers in the Fray as well, right? Progressing there from All Right Now to Flowers in the Fray. You're kind of taking away a lot of what may be unnecessary. I mean, it has value, but the production, to be able to focus on the words, on the actual music that's in your head, in your heart, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's something special. You know, I played a lot of solo shows last year, and it kind of dawned on me like how special a song is if it's just standing there by itself without a bunch of shit around it. You know, like if you come see us play live, it's insane how big our sound gets. You know, we have like dueling guitar solos and slide and harmonica, and like it's huge, this big like Allman Brothers-y monster of a sound, you know. So it feels kind of fun to create in that like minimalist structure, because the other thing that I always know is always going to happen is I can make a song as minimalist as I want on a record, but as soon as I get together with all these boys, someone's pulling out a slide, someone's hitting a distortion pedal, and they turn into these monsters. So I think that's kind of cool to have, you know, a song this way, and then know that when I get with the boys that it'll take on an entire life of its own.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting was that I heard was you played 37 shows with a broken elbow and didn't even know it was
You
broken.
did do your
Like,
research.
look, I tell you, I come prepared. So tell me
This
what
guy's
happened
on
there.
some different shit, Greg. Yeah, so what had happened was we were in the middle of a tour, and my sister had passed, and we all grew up. I was kind of raised by all her dipshit skateboard friends, and we used to skate at the Wilson skate park. It's an all concrete skate park in Chicago, and my sister would always sit on the cooler dishing out beers and running the boom box. She would like DJ our skate sessions. But everyone grows up and spreads out, and so at my sister's service, a bunch of us were like, let's go skate Wilson tomorrow. Some of us had, like myself, hadn't skated in years, and we're like, all right, we're going to go to the Wilson skate park for Jay, and we're going to have like a whole session. And we did, and I did great. And actually how I landed and fell on my arm was so stupid. I like just came out of like a super heavy bowl session, and then was kind of looking back like, yeah, still got it. And then I just hit this little pyramid and fell on my elbow, and it hurt so bad, like so bad. But it bruised from here to my armpit all the way to my wrist. But when I got back to Montana from the service, I could kind of play. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. And then we had this whole tour. So we went on tour, and then my wife made me promise that I would get it looked at when I got home, because the bruising stayed for like 2 months. And then, so I went to the doctor, and he goes, I doubt that you broke anything, because you definitely wouldn't have been out playing if it was broken, but let's do an x-ray just so we have a jump off point. And he goes, yeah, man, you actually broke it 2 places, and now it's fused itself. So my right elbow, I've had to do a lot of therapy, but I used to not be able to bend it past like right there. But no, it was cool. It was a really cool claim to fame with my manager. That I'm like, bro, I have like permanent outs if I don't want to do something, because I played 37 shows and my arm was broken in 2 places, and I didn't say shit.
Yeah. If I were the manager, it might be like, you could do it with a broken elbow. You could do anything, right? You can get out there and do it,
Yeah, that is.
I mean, that's
unfortunately how it typically gets spun.
Yeah, but I mean, well, it's pretty impressive nonetheless. You're committed to your craft, right? So, and so
Cowboy shit.
I just wanted, I want to hit on that, that passion, that that investment on your side a little bit more also, because like, was it all right now that you spent like $35,000 of your own money on, and then just didn't get get that back? Like it didn't come to fruition?
No,
Was that the one?
no. When I made Culture, I thought it was going to be the greatest record of all time, and that there were so many songs on there that I thought were going to hit. And so I spent just over 35 grand to make that album and put it out, and nothing came back. I don't think I would be absolutely shocked if that thing is recouped yet. There's not really many songs on that record that people seem to listen to. But it was one at that time, that was my favorite thing I'd ever made. I felt so good about it. I'm so confident about it. But it's the way of the business. It's always that.
But it's that work ethic that you have, that you've instilled in your kids, right? That you just, you can take some falls and you dust yourself off and get back out there. You don't stop. I mean, like I can relate in a much smaller sense, but my daughter we're at a new home. We moved a couple of months ago, and she was out selling lemonade. She's 12 years old, and was selling lemonade on the corner, and like she had made like 10 gallons of lemonade or something, 2 big pitchers and some baked goods and all this stuff, and taking it out. And we had it on this table that was a little rickety, and she was handing a glass of lemonade to a customer, and then the table came crashing down, and 10 gallons of lemonade all over the road. And she's filled with this embarrassment, right? And we pick it up, and then she goes home, she's crying in her room and FaceTiming with her mom, and her mom's like, it's okay, you don't have to go, you can go back out, you don't have to. I'm like, the hell you don't, you're getting back up, you're getting back out there, you're gonna, we're gonna make another 1 5-gallon jug, the other one's broken, we'll make one to simplify it and sell the rest of the baked goods that didn't get damaged and everything. and just get back out there and do it and not give up on yourself. And she made like $100, you know, after we got back out there, and, you know, and
I'll bet you she'll remember.
Yeah.
She'll remember that forever. She'll remember that you made her go do that. And it's those little tiny moments like that, man. I think as parents that we always think of the big stuff and the big picture, but it's like those little moments, man. I'll bet you that sticks with her forever.
100%, because I think back on my life and the things that seem like the biggest thing at the time and the worst thing at the time, and, you know, and how do you get past it and everything. And those are the things that make you who you are and define you as a character, and how you're going to handle them kind of coming out of those errors. So seeing that and seeing, you know, how you in your videos, even just how you approach that, you know, that opportunity, and made great albums, you know, afterwards, and continue to do your craft and didn't let it kind of be like, well, that's a wrap, you know, let's tie this thing up, right? You know, you got out with $37 to Franti, like you put everything out there, and it's commitment, man, you know?
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is that, like, you know, my best friend and tour manager, Greg, he always says, what, are we going to go home? So it's kind of like, that's just like the mode of apparatus, is that it's like, at the end of the day, this is just what I am and what I do. I will never not make records. I will never not go on tour. It's just in my bones. It's just what I am. So, you know, I just keep showing up for that. It's what I am. There's no separation from me in this thing. That's the way I make sense of the world. That's the way I do everything, is writing songs, singing songs, recording songs, taking them on the road. That's what we do.
Yeah. Well, so as we wind down, you talked about Red Rocks, but is there another moment on tour that you've had that was really special and kind of left this lasting memory for you?
You know, we sold out the Bluebird Theater in Denver right before COVID happened. And, you know, my journey of playing music in Denver, Colorado, particularly, I've worked with the same promoter since I started, you know, and he has a 250 cap room, and then there's a little stage on the balcony that they put bands on to play in between changeover. I started on that little stage in the back, played 3 or 4 shows at that 250 cap room until we sold it out. Played first of 3 on so many shows for this man. And, you know, when we sold out the Bluebird, there was something extremely special and profound about it, that it was just magic. It was crazy to go to the Bluebird Theater and see Satsung sold out on the marquee. Full, like, just dream realized. I've been 8 years playing shows in Denver, Colorado, you know, for nobody. So that was a good one. Our last Denver show on this tour was really great too. And then we've had some amazing festival set. We had a festival set at oh my God, Summer Meltdown outside Seattle this summer. That was also kind of one of those where we just played so well that you get off stage and kind of tip your hat to the fellow going next. Like, good luck out there, buddy. I don't think you can do much better than that.
Not much left of the stage.
No, it doesn't get much better than that. Good luck out there with your laptop.
Yeah, that is great. Those are the memories, right? You're just like, there's this really positive experiences in that vibe, and everything just clicks. It's incredible.
We have
as you go out,
you know.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, I was just gonna say, you know, we play so many festivals where we don't really have a genre, but so we end up playing a lot of like reggae festivals or festivals with a bunch of DJs, and I just don't, you know, because of the early recorded stuff that was successful, I think people have an idea of what the show is going to be, and I take great pride in showing up to reggae festivals with these boys and rocking so hard that people are just like, what in the fuck was that, you know? And you don't see a lot of cowboy hats walking around EDM festivals. I like kind of being that alien, you know, I like being the weird one.
That's true. That's true. It brings a little flavor to the, you know, what you expect, right? So,
it gives them a break from the regular scheduled programming.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and you know, I hope the rest of the tour goes well, and coming out to the West Coast and everything, and the new albums that you have lined up. You know, I look forward to checking those out as they drop. Also, like I said, your music is, you know, really beautiful and amazing. And I hear your heart, your
Thank
soul,
you.
your home, Montana in it, you know, and everything that you put, you know, I feel the energy and connecting it with your home persona and, you know, through your YouTube videos, you know, real class act, dude. I dig it. So
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much, man. And yeah, hopefully we'll catch you at the show.
Hey, sounds good. We'll chat soon. Okay, Drew, you have a good
All
one.
right. You too.
That was the interview with Drew McManus here in Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to our final segment on the program, the music news. Okay, I got a couple stories to wind us out here. First up, the first one has to do with Bono from U2. He's announced a Stories of Surrender tour, and that's a 14-city book tour that he's going to be promoting his forthcoming memoir, Surrender, 40 songs, one story, which will be hitting stores on November 1st. The tour is going to kick off November 2nd in New York City. And there's a number of dates, including Dublin, London, Paris, Berlin, Glasgow, and yes, San Francisco. There will be a date there, Saturday, November 12th at the Orpheum Theater. So it's a huge place. So I'm sure if you want more information, you can find that out on the Orpheum's website. But Bono had this to say: "I miss being on stage and the closeness of U2's audience. In these shows, I've got some stories to sing and some songs to tell. Plus, I want to have some fun presenting my memoir, Surrender." Oh God, that's bad. Surrender, which is really more of a memoir. If I think the people who helped me get it to go from the, I don't know what he's saying. It's confusing. I can't do it right now. Tickets are going on sale Friday, October 7th. That probably already happened. It's probably already sold out. And each ticket purchase comes with a copy of the book. More, I guess, if you want to go to that, you probably had to have already gotten tickets to it because I'm sure it's sold out by now. So that's what Bono's got going on. What else? A couple other stories. Blink-182 have wiped their Instagram as mysterious posters appear. Their website is currently under construction, while their Twitter has liked a series of 10-year-old tweets. So they're convinced the band, fans are convinced the band are set to announce something in the very near future. The official Blink-182 website is down. This says it'll be back soon. And the tweets are from 2013 talking about Blink-182 in 2023, while across their social media profiles, all the bios have been changed to read "crappy punk rock since 1992. A new logo has been seen on an electronic billboard in Peru. That's interesting. And one fan has spotted a series of posters in Manhattan advertising something called 182 Industries that promises your future is coming in the blink of an eye. The posters are also linked to the website 182.com, which redirects to Blink-182's official site. So this all on the heels, of course, Matt Skiba saying he's not sure if he's in the band anymore. Tom DeLonge hinting that he is in the band now, and Mark also kind of backing that up to a degree, but without even fully announcing it. No, so we should be hearing more from Blink-182 in the not too distant future, is my guess. Okay. This is a cool one. Glasgow venue has started generating power from fans dancing. It's a pioneering technology. It'll cut SWG3's carbon emissions by around 70 tons of CO2 a year. And so the body heat from people dancing is piped via carrier fluid to 200 meters, boreholes that can be charged like a thermal battery. The energy then travels back to the heat pumps before being upgraded to a suitable temperature and emitted back into SWG3, which I think is the name of the venue. According to the owners, the system known as body heat will allow them to completely disconnect the venue's gas boilers. And it was designed by geothermal energy consultancy Town Rock Energy. So when you start dancing medium pace to the Rolling Stones or something, you might be generating 250 watts. But if you've got a big DJ absolutely slamming bass lines and making everyone jump up and down, you could be generating 500 to 600 watts of thermal energy. So they're seeing this as a sustainable source of energy, which is pretty cool. They can bring it over here, then that would be great. Coldplay has also spoken about using innovative technology to reduce the carbon footprint of their live shows. And in 2021, to coincide with the publication of a 12-point sustainability plan, they announced that they would be using a kinetic floor on their next stadium tour to generate power from fans moving and dancing during their shows. So Coldplay is on board with using fans' energy to make energy and give it back. Pretty cool. Okay. And my final story for today, Kevin Smith. Don't think about him tied to music too much, though I did interview him eons ago for Concert Pipeline, and that was pretty fun. I mean, that was probably 13 years ago or so, longer, I'm sure, closer to 20, I don't know, a long time ago. His long-awaited Prince documentary is set to finally see the light of day. Smith said, "It's extraordinary. He acts differently to how he ever acted in his entire life, and he talks for hours and hours." And the director had previously revealed the access he had to Prince before the musician's death from a fentanyl overdose in 2016. Smith had spent hours talking to Prince at his Paisley Park estate for the project, and was given access all areas for several months, according to reports. And when asked by The Guardian what the chances were of the film coming to screens, Smith said, "Very high." He said, "The director of OJ, Made in America, is making a documentary for Netflix and came to the house to interview me. When they went to the vaults after Prince died, they found so much unreleased music and so many music videos that the only footage of him talking was what I shot. It's extraordinary." He became involved in the project after initially trying to use one of Prince's songs for another film that he was working on at the time. And during an Evening With event, that was my first insight into Kevin Smith when I became a Kevin Smith fan many years ago, was his Evening With series, where he explained we were trying to get a Prince song for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They wanted to get the most beautiful girl in the world, but they couldn't get any response back from him. And he went on to explain that he later received a call from Prince, who explained that he was a fan of Dogma, Smith's movie, and he asked Prince if he would work with him on a concert film. And Prince told him, "I have this thing where I'm going to debut my new album for a bunch of fans. I want to make a movie that we can bring to the Cannes Film Festival." The musician did not have a will at the time of his death. Looks like that's going to be coming to light, which is pretty cool. And I will tell you, I've been a Kevin Smith fan for many years. He hasn't always hit the mark on all of his projects. I'll be the first to admit that. He talks a lot, and his, some of his films hit the mark and some don't. I will tell you, I liked Clerks 3. It hit a chord. It was funny and endearing and a solid movie. So when that movie comes out, I recommend checking it out if you are a Kevin Smith fan, and especially a fan of his movies from the View Askew universe. This ties in really well and bookends a lot of things. So recommend checking that out. And the story closes us out for music news in a good way, because I will emphasize again that next week on the program, we're going to have David Liebert. He actually worked with Prince and kind of managed him to a degree. He managed Sheila E. and so worked with Prince. And so I'm sure he'll have some stories to share about Prince on the program next week. So that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. And for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.